I don't know of any school in Texas or the old Southwest Conference that more honors its traditions, its history, its relevance as an academic institution, and the quality of its athletic program quite like Texas A&M. Anybody who's been around it knows it and respects it and admires it. And you'll find that same kind of respect for tradition and history prevalent throughout much of the SEC. I'm getting to see the Aggies in Alabama the first time they've ever played in Tuscaloosa. So the buzz here is pretty terrific.
I couldn't concentrate like all week before the Alabama game just thinking about Tuscaloosa, and I couldn't really get a whole lot done just thinking about I want to be in Tuscaloosa.
Always for some reason book the earliest flight possible, which is nice on Sundays when we're getting back, but on Friday mornings it's really kind of rough.
Always up really early on Friday. I'm talking about 5 guys who do not want to be awake at 5 a.m. Friday morning getting on a plane. We really kind of become a family. With all the traveling we do over the summer and also during football season, we get to spend a lot of time together, and it's really just a brotherhood that we get to kind of form and create.
We got our head yell leader, Nelson Ingram. He's our leader. He's our fearless leader. He's the only one that was formerly a yell leader, so he just kind of knows everything.
Skoog is really intelligent, and so studying a lot of the time, and so is Drew. Both those guys are really smart.
Drew's a pretty funny guy. He's really got a real sarcastic demeanor.
Skoog is going to be a doctor, so he is very intelligent, and he's kind of inspirational to all of us because he's a biomedical engineering major.
Drew's a little more serious than the rest of us, but he's a great guy, and he's brought so much to the dynamic of the yell leaders.
Ryan Crawford, he's the guy that's always making us laugh.
He's like the Energizer Bunny. He just won't settle down.
I like to give Hunter Cook some flack every now and then because he has what I call selective country accent. So whenever he's talking to people from his hometown, he gets a twang, like he gives real slow drawl.
I don't really know. It's just one of those things where
he puts on the East Texas accent a little too much sometimes, and oh man,
just when you're talking to people back home, I guess it kind of kicks in inadvertently, and you're not trying to let it happen, but it just happens sometimes.
But Drew, Nelson, and I, Hunter and Ryan, we're a good group.
It's really neat to go and see those other college towns and just see how they're different. I know for myself and the other guys, we really enjoy traveling, but really being a college student, you don't get a whole lot of time to travel just between school and other things. So it's always nice to get out of College Station every now and then and just kind of get a different perspective.
We're also we have an ambassador role, I guess. We're representing A&M to all the fans that have never seen what A&M's all about, never really heard maybe even about yell leaders.
For a lot of these places, for most of these places, it's the first time that Texas A&M and our fans have ever been there. And there's so much to tell about Texas A&M, and our group is the first group that's getting to do that. And so everywhere we go, we have so many questions, and so many people come up to us and ask us about the 12th man and ask us about the various things we do because they've heard about them. And it's so neat for us to be able to get to have that experience so many times of being the first people to share about the 12th man with people from all over the nation and all over the Southeastern Conference. So it's been great.
SEC has been very welcoming of us and of our traditions, especially the yell leaders. People have been really nice to us. Most people think the idea of yell leaders is pretty cool. So that's kind of been another motivating topic.
That town, it is truly a football town. I mean, it is football crazy. Everywhere you look, there's some kind of monument honoring some national championship or some legendary player.
Everything's named Bear Bryant. Everything is named, Bryant Avenue, Bryant Street.
Bear Bryant Conference Center, and of course Bryant Stadium.
And they've got all 14 of their national championships. They let you know that they're national champions.
And there's so much history there in Tuscaloosa, and they are absolutely crazy about it.
This was our ticket. Just because, we lost to Florida by just a few points, lost to LSU by just a few points as well. We could have very easily won both of those games, and this was the last big time for us to make our name and leave an imprint on the SEC for our inaugural season.
The other games, they had played well on and fought hard. It didn't end up going our way. And, one play here, one play there, maybe the LSU or Florida game, maybe the outcomes are different.
I feel like the whole season we were earning our credibility. And
Since our move to the SEC was announced, everybody was saying that we wouldn't be able to compete with the big boys of the SEC. And people were saying that we might go winless in our first year and things like that.
And of course, beating Alabama, that was kind of our last option.
Same thing that I was saying about them being, football crazy all throughout the town. Well, on game day, obviously that's like the pinnacle of it.
When we walk in, all the seats are full. And, it's getting really loud. They're playing music. And as soon as Sweet Home Alabama comes on, everyone just stops what they're doing and just is singing at the top of their lungs. They love that song. They love Sweet Home Alabama.
It's the largest game that the largest crowd that A&M had ever played in front of. So just feeling the energy of that many people.
We did a couple pregame yells, and Aggies showed up, and Aggies were pretty, you could hear them. And I heard at halftime we were talking with their cheerleaders, and they said that our fans were really loud.
In the first quarter, it got exciting really quickly. And, three great touchdowns. And one of the cool things that we get to as yell leaders is whenever we score a touchdown, then they kick the PAT, we kneel down behind the field goal. And so every time we did that, we were leaving the friendliness of the Aggies, and we were going to in front of a bunch of Alabama fans. And in the first one, nothing bad happened by any means, but on the first one, people didn't really care. But on the second one, there were some confused looks, and by the third one, there were some shocked looks in those Alabama sections.
I think the Aggies were kind of shocked too, also, of how the heck are we beating number 120 to nothing? In the first quarter.
There's Manziel under center, second to go. Michael, injury-prone running back, is in for the touchdown, and for the 10th game this season, the Aggies score first. They're going to run it. McCarron, down across the middle, picked off, intercepted. That ends a long streak at Sean Porter.
Johnny drops back in the pocket, it seems to collapse, runs forward, bobbles the ball, catches it, rolls out, and on the run hits Ryan right in the numbers. You could really feel the energy of Aggies right there, and just this level of confidence and enjoyment of watching football that I'm not sure has always been there.
It's Michael. You calling it fourth down? No, fourth down. Touchdown.
First quarter was definitely an exciting one of the best in A&M football. But, it's a long game. Aggies know that. We understand that. The team knows that. And we knew that Bama was going to make adjustments. So we figured the touchdowns probably wouldn't keep rolling the entire game, but we were sure thankful for what happened in the first quarter.
They once led by 20. Eddie Lacy got the touchdown just a moment ago. We've got a bit of an interesting second half coming up.
Great football game, back-to-back weeks here with everything riding on it.
On the road, our job is really to work with what we've got. So how many Aggies are there? We'll try to get them pumped up and do whatever we can to get them loud. Of course, we are in, in some tough stadiums, played in some tough stadiums, but the 12th man traveled really, really well. So at away games, our job is really just to do the maximum of what we can with the fans that are there, the Aggies that are there. So I thought the Alabama game was a great showing. The Aggies were very involved, got to do a whole lot of yells.
The band was there, which I love having the band there. We did a couple away games without the band, and doing the war hymn, it's still good, but when the band's there, it feels right. So they do a good job. It's just having that many more people. The band yells loud, and they're all right there. So it's just nice having them right there.
And for a lot of people, it's their first time to see an A&M football game in 10, 15 years, or since whenever they've graduated. We've run into so many people like that are from the Atlanta area. They just happen to live in Alabama, and so they're getting to come back and see the Aggies for the first time in a long time. And so when they come, it doesn't matter how old they are or where they're at in life. They're coming and they're being super red ass and super motivated because they're getting to see Aggie football for the first time in a while. So when we've gone on the road, the crowds that we've had have been very responsive to us, and like I pointed out about the Alabama game, they're making a difference, and that's important.
I don't think you can sit back. You got to change it up. But you know, Vern, A&M has some skeletons too. From last year, they blew second halves against LSU and Florida, as you mentioned before. Skeletons in the closet for them. They got those nightmares.
I'll have to admit, I was a little nervous because I know that we always come out pretty strong, and I'm sure at this point Bama thought they'd kind of figured us out a little bit, so I was kind of anxious to see what the second half would be like.
Great teams come back and win, and so that's the thing that always worried me with Alabama. Just like we had done against La Tech or Ole Miss, you know, we'd kind of had an off game, but at the end of the day, we came back and won. And so that was the thing that was just creeping into the back of my mind was, you know, this is Alabama. Great teams overcome things like that.
And then to start the second half, the sun was almost down. And it was getting cooler, but when the sun like completely went down, that's when it really just it was, you know, a night game at that point, and you're looking around at a completely packed house, really loud. The Aggies are still leading, and it's just like this is college football. This is SEC football, and you know, we just kind of had that sense too that every college football fan in the nation is watching this game and watching something very, very special brew here in Tuscaloosa.
No, I think a lot of people expect us to be leading in half, but leading going into the fourth quarter. I mean, and we had a little bit more momentum on our side than we did at half, so it was a little more exciting then too.
Yeldon is the running back. He goes left, breaks into the secondary, gets on a fumble.
Yep, and A&M's got that football.
Studs defensively. Manziel comes left side. Ball wobbles. That's caught. Touchdown.
Malcolm called it. You know, everybody was going crazy. Our little corner of the world down there was just going nuts. And you know, at that point, I'm like, you know what? We're starting to slowly put the nails in the coffin here and gonna walk this one home.
Malcolm Kennedy's touchdown. That's when you know, hey, we can pull this out.
McCarron's got Cooper. Cooper's got a foot race. Cooper has a touchdown.
Bryant Denny had gotten louder and potentially back up to the volume that it maybe could have been at all day. But the Bama fans were back into the game. As it seems, the Bama team was back into the game.
Coverage, and this time it's Mosley forcing the sack to Jesse Williams. One chance to go on the field with a chance to win the game.
The only reason I was kind of nervous in the fourth quarter is because I'd seen what Bama did against LSU the week before.
Last week they had come back from an emotional win with less time on the clock, scored on a screenplay. I saw this scenario playing out in my mind to where Alabama drives down the field, makes a last-second touchdown, kicks the extra point, and they end up, winning the game.
So 4th and goal. McCarron will throw it. It's intercepted. DeShazer Everett at the goal line.
It was one of the most exciting Aggie football plays that I'd ever seen.
We just lost it. I think that was probably the most emotional we got all season.
I even let out a little bit of a tear. It was surreal.
When he's the first down to win, and then we had to punt. I was like, oh crap! All right, looks like our defense is gonna have to step up again. And then they drew the defense offsides.
Who jumped?
Fingers are being pointed at both.
So when we saw that, we were pretty certain that it was going to go in our favor.
Oh my!
Neutral zone infraction, offside on the defense. The defense got into the neutral zone, causing the offense to false start. 5-yard penalty, first down.
36, the guy that tried to do too much and ended the football game in position to be a Heisman Trophy winner.
Swope ran up and he hopped on top of that pillar. That's a mental image that's it's burned into my brain. Just how he was just standing up there with both arms raised.
He was just thanking all the 12th man. He was, I think like all football players, at some point we're trying to give high fives to all the fans, thanking them for traveling so far.
Bliss, it was, it was unreal. What had just happened. And, I mean, it shocked the whole nation when we beat them.
For so many years leading up to now, there's just always been this doubt about Aggie football, and now there's true confidence in every game that we play. We know that we can win each and every game, and that's something that's really different for Aggie fans, I think, and that's something that was really special that finally people are starting to believe in this team and in this program.
Winning this game was really, I think, what capped off the season. What really made it something to look at, something to put an asterisk by, something to to read about and talk about 20, 30 years from now. This is a story that I'm sure that me and the other Yell leaders will be able to tell whenever we speak at muster, whenever we go and speak some places. That we were fortunate and privileged enough to be Yell leaders when the Aggies knocked off #1 Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
The football team came back. It was a great testimony of the 12th man in the Aggie spirit. And to call yourself an Aggie, it's a proud day. But every day is a proud day to be an Aggie.